Well, folks, Maryland has lost another 2,500 federal jobs, the second consecutive month they've led the nation in federal job losses. The state's economy is closely linked to the federal workforce. Obviously, when they say the DMV is D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. According to the Maryland Labor Department, approximately 269,000 residents were employed by the federal government in 2023, with more than 158,000 federal jobs located within the state that year. Come on, let's pull a graphic. The August numbers bring total federal job losses in Maryland to 15,100 since January, when Donald Trump took office and began his push to shrink the federal workforce. Still, since the start of the administration of Governor Wes Moore, Maryland has added 96,000 jobs overall, a rate of growth faster than the nation as a whole. According to Maryland.gov, the 5 sectors with the largest estimated job losses in August were administrative and support and waste management and remediation services, other services, government, health care, social assistance, manufacturing. Listen, we saw Mustafa, we saw Governor Wes Moore. I mean, he saw this coming and what they were doing, being very aggressive in finding opportunities for those folks in the state of Maryland. But listen, Trump doesn't give a damn. It's all about whatever he's doing. So he doesn't care what happened in Maryland with a Democratic governor. Hell, he don't care about Virginia with a Republican governor.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of his actions actually lead to that. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. I take a look at what's going on across the country. So there are federal workers in lots of different spaces and places. But it seems like wherever we have the largest Black populations, there's intentionality also in, creating chaos and limiting, economic opportunities. When you look at Maryland, we have some of the wealthiest Black counties in our nation. So they also understand. I'm not saying that that's the only driver, but they also understand that there's an opportunity here to continue to shrink the wealth and power inside of the Black community. So one, we should call that forward. The other part of it is, once again, they're actually shooting themselves in the foot, because of the wealth that exists inside places like Maryland and D.C. and Northern Virginia and a couple of other locations. They play a significant role also in the GDP of our country. So, when you have these policies that often are not well thought out, or they don't take into consideration the damage that you're not only going to do to the Black community, but how that's going to also reverberate across our country, then, it's not only short-sighted, but it is par for the course for this administration to continue to make these types of mistakes.
As we get ready for it, Joe, we're going to see more job losses. This economy has been tanking under Donald Trump, and he thinks that the Fed lowering interest rates is going to be the answer. Now, that ain't going to be it, because this idiot and his tariffs are destroying everything. And you add on top of that what they're doing to the federal workforce, it's crazy.
Yeah, and as we know, the federal workforce has been the basis of the achieved middle class for many Black people, including my own family. My mom worked for the federal government for 40 years, Department of Veterans Affairs. I have cousins actually in Maryland right now that work for the government as well. And so between that, listen, a lowered interest rate is not going to help me buy a house or get a car if I don't have a job. Additionally, even companies that would invest in the economy, they're not going to invest in the economy with these tariffs taking things all over the place. They'd rather save that money because they don't need to make a huge investment of time, place, resource, and then have Trump flip because he's mad at somebody. And so between those two problems, the economy potentially contracts. And then as the economy contracts, now, even if you get a good president a few years from now, even if you get someone else with a different volition and a different will, the money will have dried up and disappeared, or that will certainly be the argument. So, yeah, that's not going to get any easier. And in addition to everything else, Maryland also has a bright, incredible governor who could be president. He doesn't want to work with him. He doesn't want to work with Wes Moore. He doesn't want to work with anybody who has the potential to upstage him either. So you've got all of these things coming through where he's not particularly concerned about the plight of folks, Maryland's, the Virginias, places like that are DC adjacent, have a lot of government jobs. And so this is going to be a devastating impact, and it's going to be hard to reverse it. And I think it'll get worse before it gets better.
Michael?
I mean, Governor Moore, certainly no secret that there are many people that think he would be a great candidate for the Democratic nomination. And as Mustafa said, these folks are so calculating relative to who they want to hurt. I know sometimes they overshoot and hurt their own voters. But in this case, it certainly doesn't hurt them to go after a potential candidate in their backyard, in their state, so they can throw these statistics out later for how much job loss there was. So now, obviously Governor Moore will respond and say it's not his fault. He added jobs, and then they wanted to shrink the government unjustly, and that impacted, obviously, Prince George's County, Baltimore County, and other counties around the state of Maryland. But nonetheless, these folks are cruel, don't care. All they care about is culture, white supremacy, and making sure they hurt black folks. So it's politics and culture is really all they care about. They don't care about policy. If they cared about policy, they would work with experts, work with the Congress, and try to figure out the best way to move forward. That's not how they're operating. So I wouldn't put it past them, if this wasn't by design, to go after the particular state of Maryland, which is obviously some of the counties are bedroom counties to the District of Columbia, as well as Northern Virginia, which is also mostly Democratic. I know we say Virginia and people think red. Obviously, we know Virginia is not a red state, it's more of a purple state. But nonetheless, that surrounding county in Arlington and Alexandria and Loudoun, you have a lot of diverse counties in Virginia. So nonetheless, they may put it by design.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.